But Aliyah did say I have a special whistle. And she shot 13 today.
She said that to you?
Yeah. Yeah, she said the last game I had a special whistle, which is cool.
So let me get this straight. The Las Vegas Aces have been handed special whistles all series long. And now Becky Hammon and A'ja Wilson want to cry foul? In Game 4, the Fever absolutely hammered the Aces on the boards, outshot them at the free throw line by actually attacking the paint. And still Wilson says Aliyah Boston had a special whistle. Nah. What Boston had was dominance. 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. Want to know how the Fever exposed the Aces' excuses as pure comedy? Stick around because we've got facts that completely undercut Vegas's meltdown. What do you think of A'ja's special whistle? Let us know down in the comments below.
You're looking at that box score. I'm wondering what's really standing out to you there.
I was just looking at the fouls. Like, Liz had 5, Jackie had 5, Chelsea had 5. And that's very interesting to me because I'm not saying we don't foul. Yeah, we foul here and there, but that's very interesting.
So why are the Aces suddenly crying about refs after 3 games of getting every soft call imaginable? That's the big question. Because if you've been watching this series from the start, you know Indiana has been on the wrong end of whistle after whistle. Every time Aliyah Boston tried to seal in the post, she'd get tagged. Every time Kelsey Mitchell slid her feet on the perimeter, she'd draw a foul for barely making contact. And who benefited? Vegas. They built rhythm, got Wilson to the line, and piled up free points. So for once in Game 4, when Indiana finally attacked and earned those free throws, suddenly the Aces' entire sideline went into meltdown mode.
For Becky, certainly felt like a differently officiated game than other parts of the series. I think we had more defensive 3 seconds today than any other part of the playoffs. I just wonder how you felt about the overall flow of the game.
Well, they shot 34 free throws and we shot 11. Next question.
You could see it on Becky Hammon's face all night. Every time Boston bodied Wilson, Becky threw her hands up in disbelief. By the time she sat down at the podium, she didn't even bother explaining. The stat line told the story. Indiana went 34 times to the stripe while Vegas had just 11. When a reporter asked about it, Becky cut it short with, "They shot 34 free throws and we shot 11. Next question. That's not breaking down strategy. That's pure frustration, and it shows how badly the Aces rely on having the whistle on their side.
I gotta go back and look at the tape, but it seemed like there was a lot of grabbing and holding down there. That got called one way. Anything else? I did appreciate it was a little tighter called, but tighter on both ends would have been nice.
Now let's actually look at why the Fever got to that number. It wasn't because refs suddenly decided to favor them. It was the game plan. Indiana drove relentlessly, Boston sealed deep, and guards like Mitchell forced contact at the rim. If you live in the paint, you draw fouls. Simple basketball. Meanwhile, Vegas leaned on jumpers in isolation from Wilson. Outside of her, the rest of the team wasn't even pressuring the rim consistently. And yet, Wilson still ended up saying after the game that Boston had this so-called special whistle since she got to shoot 13 free throws. That's sarcasm from someone who had been living off that exact whistle in games 1 through 3.
There were so many other plays where it felt like A'ja was bullying other players on the Fever. And I want you to watch this play here with Lexi Hall. She's standing her ground. She's trying to down screen and A'ja just chucks her to the ground. Now there was no whistle there and you can see ref number 16 right there. He's watching the whole thing happen. No whistle. They just kind of let it go.
And here's where it gets funny. Look at the total fouls across 4 games. They're basically even. Both teams are sitting just about the same in total fouls called. That means whatever edge the Fever got in Game 4 was balance correcting itself, not some grand conspiracy against Vegas. So why the tantrum now? Because the Aces didn't lose to the refs. They lost to Indiana hammering the paint and outworking them. You can talk about foul trouble, but let's be clear. 3 starters picking up 5 fouls was not about officials hunting Vegas players. It was about Indiana actually attacking those mismatches and making them defend post after post after post. That's a strategy, not favoritism. And when Hammon added her own mistake by calling a timeout she didn't have, gifting the Fever a technical free throw in crunch time, it sealed the comedy. Vegas beat itself as much as Indiana beat them. Only Indiana gets the credit for capitalizing.
Megan had 4.
What? Oh my God, that's interesting. That's what I was looking at. But we'll do better. We gotta play better defense.
By interesting, do you mean that shit?
Yeah, I can't say that because I got a brand to protect. But
I'll say it, I have no brand.
yeah, it's interesting. But we'll be better.
In the end, that whole meltdown was nothing more than smoke to cover up the truth. The Aces weren't sabotaged. They were shoved around, they were beaten on the boards, and they were punished for giving up the paint. That special whistle Wilson complained about was really just Indiana playing special basketball. Which brings us to why Boston was the centerpiece shaping all of that interior dominance in the first place. What happens when a multiple-time All-Star refuses to back down from the league's MVP? You get Game 4. From the opening tip, it wasn't just another matchup. It was Aliyah Boston planting herself in the paint and announcing that she wasn't going anywhere. Analysts had circled the Wilson versus Boston head-to-head as the defining battle of the series, calling it an MVP clash in the middle. The expectation was that Wilson's experience and finesse would give her the edge. What actually happened was Boston dragging the balance of power in her direction by forcing the Aces to defend her physical style for 40 minutes.
As soon as Aliyah Boston helps it all with the guard, Vegas has been very quick and decisive getting the ball to A'ja Wilson.
Entry pass, Boston. Guarded by Wilson. Boston takes it to her.
Efficient and effective. Look at where she catches the ball initially, working hard, regains it, then comes back and goes.
Wilson still put up numbers. She finished with 31 points, which looks dominant on paper, but anyone watching saw how grueling it was for her to manufacture those baskets. Every time she caught the ball, Boston's frame pressed into her, moving her off spots and forcing her further from the rim. What Wilson normally gets easily, she had to grind for. That pressure wore her down as the game went on, and it showed in how the rest of Vegas struggled to find rhythm around her.
Right. Boston able to hook it in.
But Boston does.
Hull knocks it away. Boston the steal. Sims ahead of the field will lay it in. Who is in the game? Melissa Smith is who sat down with Lloyd coming in. Backdoor, Mitchell lays it in on a beautiful delivery from Boston.
Well, here.
On the other end, Boston's stat line told the story of a player in complete control. 24 points, 14 boards, and 5 assists. She shot 7 of 15 from the field, and more importantly, got herself to the line 13 times, hitting 10. Add 2 steals and a pair of blocks, and you're looking at complete production across the board. This wasn't just individual offense. It was Boston dictating the entire floor. Every possession ran through her presence. And while Wilson was expending energy to counter, Boston was smart, efficient, and relentless. The key was how deep she established her seals. Instead of getting pushed outside like earlier in the series, she muscled her way into prime territory. By catching the ball so close to the rim, Vegas defenders had little choice but to foul. That constant stress drew whistles and created free throws, not because refs felt generous, but because Boston forced them to acknowledge the contact.
What were you seeing or feeling out there that let you have the night that you had?
Just trying to be aggressive. Hello? Oh, there we go. Just trying to be aggressive, post up, seal, focus, and finish, and get to the free throw line.
To Steph or Aliyah, did either of you see anything on tape the last couple of games for you specifically to try to get you more looks or better looks, especially as you did in that second half?
Yeah, I mean, we've watched a lot of film, but I think for me, just working on my positioning, trying to get earlier seals, and so that was the focus for me tonight, and I was able to do that.
Think back to Game 3, where Vegas had success by swarming her early and keeping her out of her comfort zone. That game had Boston rattled into turnovers and rushed looks. She adjusted. Game 4 showed it. She steadied her base, faced the double teams with patience, and when the collapse came, she found open shooters with those 5 assists. That's adaptation, and it's what great players do in the postseason.
And has been unleashed. Powers into the game for the first time. Here's Boston working young and finishing.
Let's give some love where it's due. The post work. Aliyah Boston sees a guard on her. The double comes, passes back out. So what does she do? She reposts, puts her right hand up so the...
Wilson tried to flip the story afterward by hinting Boston got special treatment with the whistle. But look again at the tape. This wasn't the refs gifting Boston. This was Boston gifting Vegas bruises. She absorbed hits, delivered her own, and played through contact on both ends. If you want to call it special, then describe it accurately. Special control, not favoritism. This series had been about whether Indiana could match Vegas's star power. Game 4 answered that in bold letters. Boston didn't just match, she tilted the series. The paint, once Wilson's domain, now belonged to her. And with Boston setting that foundation, Indiana started stacking contributions from the rest of the roster that made this inside dominance even more overwhelming for Vegas to manage next.
Just coming off the on ball, getting her feet set.
2-point game. Boston center of the lane. Finishes plus the foul.
The concerted effort to get Aliyah Boston a touch in the paint. That time, A'ja Wilson, his arm is caught around, so she fouls her on the left side while Boston finishes.
Boston might have anchored the win, but who made sure the Fever held on when things got tight? That's where the rest of the crew stepped in. The highlight came from Kelsey Mitchell, who poured in 25 points and lived up to her role as Indiana's closer. She went 9 for 20 from the field, mixed in a few threes, and converted almost everything at the line. She didn't just hunt shots either. Her 4 assists showed she recognized when Vegas overloaded her side and punished them by kicking to open teammates. Against an Aces defense pressing on every perimeter touch, she still found a way to rise up over contests, slash past slow rotations, and match Vegas bucket for bucket.
Mitchell dances, takes, and connects. Who is in the game? Melissa Smith is who sat down with Lloyd coming in. Backdoor, Mitchell lays it in on a beautiful delivery from Boston, plus the foul.
Oh, here, Kelsey Mitchell, so quick, just one step, bell bites Mitchell.
Mitchell has been through a lot in her years with the franchise, which made this performance even bigger. She has seen Indiana lose these types of games before. In this one, she made sure the Fever left the arena tied 2-2. Caitlin Clark summed it up in the simplest way during her own reaction. Sitting courtside, she leaned over and said, "Kelsey, unreal." That was the honest truth. No bigger stage, no brighter lights, and Mitchell owned it.
I don't think that's a bad no call. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell able to hit.
Right here, she gets the handoff. I mean, this is a tough shot. Jackie Young right there.
Oh, yeah.
It's like she needed a guitar in her hand, right?
Working behind Boston. Mitchell flings it out. Sims. You bet.
But Mitchell didn't do it alone. Lexi Hull gave a performance that fans might remember even longer than her modest 7 points. She spent 38 minutes draped over Jackie Young, an all-star guard who's been one of Vegas's most consistent players. Hull grabbed 7 rebounds, picked 4 steals, and even swatted a shot. She played with a back injury that has limited her at points this postseason, yet her grit showed in every hustle play. Every loose ball she dived on, every box out against a bigger forward, it shifted the energy. When she subbed out briefly, Indiana felt the difference with Young sliding into rhythm. When she returned, the clamps went back on. That's the type of defensive commitment that doesn't always make highlight reels, but it wins playoff games.
In fewer games, as Hull knocks it away, and it stays inbound.
That's the second time that Hull has saved a layup with her weak side help defense.
Shea Petty in off the bench. Stephanie White liked the way she battled in game 3. Boston gives it up. Mitchell with Wilson switched on her. Now Young gets back. Hull connects. Out of 3.
Then came Odyssey Sims, who looked like a completely different player than the one in Game 3. After struggling mightily in that loss, she bounced back with 18 points, hitting 6 of her 9 shots and adding a couple of assists. She attacked every seam in the Vegas coverage, hitting a mid-range jumper when defenders sagged, drawing fouls when they pressed up. Her confidence shifted what Indiana could do offensively. With Sims carving her way through, it forced Wilson and the Vegas Bigs to leave Boston for stretches, and that opened up more balance across the floor.
Under 5 minutes to go. Sims stops and banks it in.
Shea Petty's stat line was smaller, but her impact was steady. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals in 16 minutes. More important, her poise calmed things down whenever Vegas threatened to make a run. She hit timely shots, spaced the floor, and took care of possessions when it could have unraveled. In a semifinal this tight, that kind of veteran steadiness is everything.
Collier slipped to 6. Think that would change if they redrafted? Here's Petty all the way in off the steal. Shea Petty giving Indy.
Together, that supporting cast turned Boston's paint dominance into a full-team storm Vegas couldn't stop. And now, it sets the stage for the ultimate test. Walking into Las Vegas for a do-or-die Game 5 with the Aces season on the line, and Indiana sensing they've got more than just a puncher's chance. So what does it actually take to walk into Vegas and silence the Aces on their home court one more time? That's the challenge staring right at Indiana. Michelob Ultra Arena is loud. The Aces went 17 wins and 5 losses there in the regular season, and the crowd feeds their momentum. Vegas will be desperate. The Fever have to drown that noise with composure and stay disciplined in a winner-take-all setting.
One game away from the finals. Where you came from, in August when people were going down with injuries. I mean, how do you wrap your head around that, knowing that there's still work to be done?
Yeah, honestly, for me, all the credit has to go to God. Seriously, I mean, just thinking about where we are right now, just like you said, we lost people to injuries, and no one stepped down, no one dropped their heads. But I think Steph and the entire staff just did a great job of us telling us, like, listen, it doesn't matter who's in this locker room, it's about who's in here, and we're going to do everything we can to be successful, and we just kept working.
The tough part is that Indiana already showed their blueprint in Game 4. Vegas has that film now. They'll study every post-seal Boston made, every pick-and-roll read Mitchell turned into points, and every rebounding sequence that swung the game. The Aces will adjust, so Indiana's job is to punch first. That means Aliyah Boston needs touches early and often. If she establishes position inside from the start, Wilson has to burn energy dealing with that constant contact. The longer Boston stays dominant in the paint, the harder it gets for Vegas to dictate the tempo. But a heavy paint attack only works if the floor stays spaced. That's where Kelsey Mitchell must continue firing from deep. Her scoring stretches Vegas thin, forcing them to choose between collapsing on Boston or stepping out on shooters. If she stays aggressive from outside, it creates the lanes Indiana thrived on in Game 4. Defensively, it all circles back to Lexi Hull. Jackie Young will be locked in back at home, so Hull's ability to stay attached without fouling is critical. Then you need Odyssey Sims and Shea Petty to steer the offense cleanly, especially against the Aces' pressure. Wasted possessions in a Game 5 can flip everything.
And I think for me, this from day one has just been a really special group. We've hit a lot of adversity collectively. I had some tough stuff that I was going through personally, and this group would just rallied around me, rally around each other, and truly do live the mantra of we over me. And it's just been a really, really special group. You don't always get these opportunities to coach groups like this, at the professional level especially. And I think because they're who they are as human beings, it allows us to continue to put one foot in front of the other.
The X factor? Rebounding. Indiana crushed Vegas 34-22 on the glass last game, but repeating that won't come easy. Natasha Howard, Bree Turner, Michaela Timpson, and Aerial Powers all have to contribute to keep the Aces off second chances. If Indiana controls boards and keeps forcing trips to the stripe, their destiny is in their own hands. This isn't just another game. It could reset the entire future of the Fever. Indiana wasn't supposed to be in this position. They've battled injuries all season. No Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby, Sid Colson, and Ari McDonald in the playoffs, and still find themselves just one win away from the WNBA Finals. Coach Stephanie White called this a really special group, pointing to how much adversity they've faced together and how they've stayed united through it all. While the Aces complain about foul calls, the Fever focus on winning. That's the difference. Caitlin Clark summed it up from the sidelines with just 2 words: one more. Game 5 in Las Vegas decides it all, and Indiana already has the blueprint. What do you think of Asia's special whistle? Let us know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.